How old were you when your dad died in the infamous way that he did?
I was born in 1986. My father passed away in 1988, actually 6 days before my birthday.
I'm staying with Maserati Rick, and I'm at his apartment. Basically, I just stayed with him because at that time, Ed was running around trying to find him. Ed had already shot up a white van that looked like Maserati, but it wasn't. It was some white couple that just happened to be driving down that street and got shot at.
You have an album called September, and a lot of important things happen in your life in September, some good, some bad. You were born in September.
Yeah.
Your dad passed in September, and also your brother passed in September.
And my mom went to prison. Well, our house was raided in September.
Did your mother kept from you who your dad was, but tell us about that. I mean, did you see pictures of him? Did she talk about him, or who did you think he was, if at all?
I mean, I knew I had his name, and I think I seen some pictures, and I was like, I resembled him a little bit, but I didn't know like what he did. Like, that didn't never come about till I was probably really like, for real. Like I said, I saw the Street Life on VHS. And I can't remember like how I stumbled up on it, but
shout out to Donnie Armstrong.
That was how I even first. I probably was in the 8th grade, 8th or 9th grade for real. Yep, probably in the 8th or 9th grade.
What did it feel like to be 13 and to find out like, oh my God, this is who my father is?
I don't know. I still didn't like ask her about it.
But how did you feel inside, if anything?
How come I ain't know this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would say definitely when she went to prison. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to really talking about a lot of different stuff. You know what I'm saying? As far as what happened back in the day. I don't know. We had just regular conversation. I used to ask her like, how was y'all relationship? You feel me? Stuff like that. Cause they wasn't married. He was married. And
not to your mom.
Not to my mom, but he had he had like 3 or 4 kids outside of his marriage. He had 3 kids in the same year in '86. Me, my sister, and my brother Kevin was all born in '86. My sister was born in January. Me and my sister 8 months apart. I was born at 5.5 months. I weighed 2 pounds 3 ounces when I.
Do you have any memories, physical memories of him?
Hell no. Like I remember my mama telling the story. Like he came up to the hospital and shit, and he had on all this damn jewelry, and then he had because I was in ICU. I was, you know what I'm saying? I barely could breathe and shit on my own. So they had.
How much have you found out about his connections in the boxing world?
Yeah, him and Tommy Hearns. I remember she said they used to spar, they used to box or whatever. But I think the story from what one of my uncles told me was the reason like he really didn't like pursue the whole boxing thing. I want to say he had something happened when he was a kid. He had a metal plate in his head.
So he might have. I mean, he had the talent to have at least tried to make it big, and he might have done that as his profession.
I believe so.
Your dad didn't seem like he was probably a big drinker, smoker, nothing. I mean, looked like he was still working out. He looked like he was in good shape.
We went and got into his Benz and we sat there and talked for a few minutes. I said, no, man, this is too crowded for me. I'm tall and, I'm 220 pounds at the time. So, little Benz that he had was small for me. I like small vehicles. I hit my Cadillac at the time.
Yeah, as far as I know, no, he didn't smoke or drink. No, he didn't get into any of that. He just, really, I just think, he liked to party, you know what I'm saying? Got a bunch of chicks, you feel me, getting money, fresh, car, that was it, you know what I'm saying? Like, shoot, I done met people who still get money or got money. And I'm sure it's a few people that owed him some money, so they probably ain't fall off, you know what I'm saying? Or they probably still got some businesses going on as far as on the legal tip. You never know. He probably started a couple people businesses. I've definitely bumped into quite a few people in the city in random places, and especially after they he got a familiar face just from him being in the newspaper. Some people kind of got that in their mind because it was so big in the tabloids. And
I'm staying with Maserati Rick, and I'm at his apartment. Basically, I just stayed with him because at that time, Ed was running around trying to find him. Ed done already shot up a white van that looked like Maserati, but it wasn't. It was some white couple that just happened to be driving down that street and got shot at.
And there was a guy that operated on the east side of Detroit. His name was Maserati Rick. And he was a bad dude, big guy, a big time drug dealer. Drove a Maserati. That's why they called him Maserati Rick. And I remember I met him. He agreed to meet with me, which kind of surprised me. And I met him at a Big Boy, on the east side of Detroit. And I'm just in there having a cup of coffee with him. And he's actually, it's before cell phones were even prominent, but he had one, as all good, significant drug dealers would at that point. And I remember him, I thought he was actually doing business right in front of me, which he probably was. But I remember giving him my card, and I said, Rick, I'm going to tell you, one of these days, a guy like you is going to need a guy like me. And he said, I don't think so, but if I do, I'll give you a call. Well, 2 days later, he was assassinated and killed. He didn't make the call quick enough.
What is his legacy, and how do you try to carry it on or not carry it on, or take the same, I guess, energy he had in the same charisma and people like you and direct it in a different way? What's his legacy, and how propelling it in a different direction?
I look at it like this. It's like, if you gonna do some shit, be the best at it. If you gonna be a fucking criminal, you gonna get it. You gotta go. Some people don't even reach that level. You know what I'm saying? Especially at the age he did it, and the era that it was. You know, when you in the hospital, they make you do all this. He had on all this jewelry and all this shit. You
Take
know
it
what
off.
I'm saying? Yeah, in the hospital.
Do you know your grandparents, his parents?
Yeah, my grandmother. She actually is so crazy, bro. She passed away in September too, bro. September 2005. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Did you talk with her much about her son, your father?
Man, yeah, me and her was real close. I actually was living with her until probably I was like 3 years old. Like, I wasn't living in Detroit. I was like back and forth in St. Louis when that.
Oh, she lives in St. Louis.
No, she was living in like back and forth, like had lived in St. Louis for the most part back then.
What was her? I mean, it's hard for you to know now, but do you get the impression that your father was like from a deprived background, so he got in the streets, or he just wanted a lavish lifestyle, or a little bit of both?
I mean,
Hard, you don't know.
I would say, I mean, cause him and like my Uncle Clyde was the only two out of like, you know, my aunties and uncles.
Oh, Jesus, Clyde.
My
got
Uncle
killed
Clyde,
too.
yeah, they was the only two that was really like into drugs, like, you know what I'm saying, as far as like in the streets.
Do you remember Clyde? Because Clyde only lasted maybe a year after that.
Yeah, I think Clyde got killed
90?
in 90. Yeah, my Uncle Clyde got killed in 90.
Yeah, and I can tell you something off camera about that.
Yeah.
Did you, and then your godfather is?
Demetrius Holloway. Yeah, I mean, that's what my mom said. She like, Demetrius your goddaddy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So, I mean, really, you're definitely from street royalty, and that sounds fun on a rap song and like to sit around and talk about it. Just explain, you didn't get a pile of money. You don't get a get out of jail free card. You don't get royalties from rappers who say his name. Like, what's other than the memories and these little cool conversations, but I mean, what did you get from your father giving up his life to the street?
Then my mama went to jail, so that was the only two ways you gonna go. I mean, if you make it out and shit, that's rare. That's like an anomaly for real. Like, you gonna have some type of mental, your family, something gonna be, you know what I'm saying? You not just, I mean, look at my mom's situation. You know
Tell
what I'm
us,
saying?
I mean, how,
You know?
in whatever minimal detail you want to go into, I mean, just vaguely, what was that situation? What age were you?
I had just turned 15 when, you know, like when the police raided our house. Like, my birthday was 6 days or something before, you know what I'm saying, before it happened or something. My Uncle Eric, it's crazy, bro. My Uncle Eric got killed in September too, bro. Like,
What year was that?
September 2009, bro. Like,
That was your dad's brother?
it's my dad's youngest brother.
He
got killed.
lasted till, what was the story?
I mean, but he wasn't in the streets or none of that. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just on some, like, I don't even
Robbery or something?
It wasn't even that, bro. Really, like, wrong place at the wrong time, taking somebody else somewhere, and they, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro. Yeah, it was some shit like that. And they killed both of them. And my cousin, his son, like, he the only one that survived that situation. And he got shot in the head. He survived though, like my little cousin. Yep.
Oh, how old was he at the
He
time?
was probably like 10 at the time. He
Oh, they
up.
shot a 10-year-old in the head?
Hell yeah, man. It was happening like Inkster. That shit was on the news and everything, bro. Yeah. Happened in Inkster, something something about a setup. The dude, he was taking the dude up there to go get some, I don't know. Who knows? But I know my uncle had a Suburban, the long one, the big box one. And I guess they like shot the whole car up or something like that. I don't know. I probably had a couple birds in my diaper bag that came from Medellin. I'm trying to do better things. They connect was Griselda Blanco and them nephew and shit. Like, I done definitely heard that. So that line was definitely above your heads. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real.
And where can we find you on IG?
Instagram official_Maserati Rick Jr. The album is definitely on all digital platforms, iTunes, Spotify.
Multiple rappers either made songs with your dad's name or use his name, you know, some form of his name as their rap name. I mean, do you feel anything about that? And I mean, maybe you don't feel anything, but is it just weird or used to it?
It's like I feel like, man, they paying homage. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's a respect thing. So obviously they respect, you know, where the name came from.
They need to pay a bill though.
Man, I need to check, bro, cause y'all got, man, I've been checking y'all views. They got songs, bro. Come on, man. I ain't even trying to be funny, bro. Even from him getting killed in the hospital, like that. Still crazy to me. That's crazy to me because I grew up watching Carlito's Way, and I didn't put that together for a long time. Like, damn, what the fuck? That's like.
Officials say 2 men were seen near his room.
Really, we don't have a whole lot of details other than the fact that some people saw 2 men.
We drive back over on the street where I was staying at the time, and that's when he said, "Man, this between me and you, man. Maz is dead, man."
Okay, this is a real piece of Detroit history here. As you can see, Kronk boxing team. So we all know Tommy Hearns, etc. Manuel Stewart, probably considered the greatest boxing trainer of all time. Kronk Gym in Detroit produced, I think it's produced the most champions of any in gym. I mean, a lot of trainers are known because they had one fighter. They trained Mike Tyson, or maybe they had 2 fighters. Kronk produced, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I don't know, maybe 15, 25 maybe world championships. And look what the name says here. Richard Carter, a.k.a. Maserati Rick, a Detroit street legend, who unfortunately was lost to the streets at the age of 29, but he could have probably been a professional boxer if he hadn't have gone another route. And frankly, I mean, it'd be easy to say he should have boxed, but I mean, boxers don't make much money unless they become the world champion. Tommy Hearns was his friend. There's lots of photos of them together. He would go out to the fight with Tommy, or out to Tommy's championship fights. And that's what was interesting about that time in Detroit. Like, my father was in his early 40s, around in the late 80s, and he was going out to clubs a lot, Club Taboo and etc. And he would come home all excited, and he would talk about who was in the club. Say, oh, John Sally was there, Isaiah Thomas was there, Detroit Pistons, Bad Boys. And then he would say street names. I think once he said, that Demetrius Holloway guy that was in the paper, he was there. And there would be, you know, business owners, Jewish lawyers, all in the same club, because I think that $1 million a year or so was like that magical mark that put you in Detroit's elite. And all those guys mingled together. And today, you know, the Sinaloa cartel doesn't hang out with LeBron James, right? I mean, it's just the worlds are too different. But at that time, late 80s, or well, 70s and 80s in Detroit, a guy like Richard Carter could legitimately be really running in the streets heavy, and he could really be running with the greatest boxing gym of all time, and those worlds mixed. And I don't know. I was a kid, but I was there. I mean, my neighborhood was in the middle of it, and I remember those times, and it was a very unique time in American history. So, thanks to Richard Carter Jr., Maserati Rick Jr., bringing this out to us from his personal family archives. Richard Carter lost before his time at age 29. Kronk boxing team, Detroit history, Al Prophet, American dope. Thank you, Rick.
Hey, that voice though, bro. Your voice
Classic,
legendary as
classic,
fuck,
bro.
bro. Like when I first seen Murder City, bro, I'm like, dog, his voice.